Alright, this is Green Tea Generation, and what do you have to say? Oh,
yeah,
Green Tea Graffiti
with our first volume of our magazine, Green Tea Generation.
Ah.
So, what is our modus operandi?
Yes.
Well, we are a pan-Asian culture and media site focusing on Japan, Korea, and China. And we cover video games, anime, music, movies, and culture, generic culture as well. So
that's my position on the site. I'm one of the culture writers.
I see.
Actually, I think I am the culture writer at the moment.
Yes, that is correct. And I am.
So your goal is?
Well, what is our goal? Our goal, our vision for the site is to promote not just one Asian country, but to kind of show the similarities and differences culturally of Asian nations, of their pop culture, of music. Because a lot of times in Japan and Korea and China, they only see the differences.
Yes.
And for us, we see that there's just a lot of rich, there's a lot of rich, I'm sorry.
So you're talking about the cultural rifts between countries?
Not necessarily
not always,
not necessarily.
but it's kind of, a lot of people who are into anime and stuff only know that particular facet of the culture and stuff. We're trying to expand that so that kind of give everyone a further grasp and knowledge of, what is this place that this stuff comes from, why.
So describe what you have put in your first edition.
Got here. What we have here, this is Green Tea Generation.
Yes.
Is our first article. We have 4 articles in it. One by our CEO who is in Korea right now. He has an article about living in Korea. There's another by our Japan lead about living in Japan. We have an article about censorship in the Chinese music industry. And then one final article about food, rice, and its application in cuisine and stuff like that.
So generally, this group is about spreading awareness about culture?
Yes, cultural awareness, just, getting to know this, place that, you've seen only in movies.
And it's really like a portal site. If people only know anime, or they only know music, or they only know Korean dramas, this is where they're going to go and they're going to discover the other facets of that culture. And then to also be able to experience, if you're into Korean dramas, well, now you can get into Korean music, manhwa, and then also expand into Japan and China. We're doing a panel. I'm doing a panel on the Hallyu Wave, which is the Korean culture wave that hit Asia. And there's a lot of negative backlash, especially in Japan. There's a manga written called "Hating the Korean Wave," the Hallyu Wave, and it was pretty much just racism and stereotypes, and it sold 200,000 copies. It was a subculture, but it was still prevalent. These are the kinds of things that we want people to be aware of, but also that this shouldn't bind our understanding, and especially as Americans,
And it's we're also trying to look at how the culture of the East and the culture of the West have kind of melded and combined to a point that,
Because in this modern age with the internet.
How the lines start to blur between them, basically.
So what do you want the Fanime attendees to leave with on their mind when they pick up one of your Green Tea Generation?
Well, we'd like them to, log onto the site and find out what it's all about. Maybe join us on the forums for discussion and reflection and whatnot. But we'd like them to leave with an understanding, that there's a whole place that the anime comes from and whatnot. And it's not just the cartoons, We'd also like them to understand the cultural implications that happen in anime, why these characters do things and why it may not seem normal to us
I've read
as
a lot about
viewers,
that.
but to the home country and the home audience, what these characters are doing makes complete sense. We want that kind of understanding so that they can walk away and go, now I get why, this is done in this way, or why this happened in this anime, or why this happened in this drama, or why this music talks about what it does that might not necessarily make sense to me now, but if I go there, it will make sense to me.
Yeah, my friend and I talk a lot about this, the stereotypes about some Asian culture. So in closing, what would you like to leave with a culture shock for all of us?
Culture shock?
Yes.
Are you saying like a personal
just describe one culture shock about Asian culture that people in the West will not know?
There's several, and it's kind of hard to pin down just one.
I'll pick the one I would say. The best hip hop culture, the best hip hop industry right now is the underground hip hop industry in Korea. Soul Company, Sniper Sound, some of the lesser known guys on Sniper Sound, some of the lesser known guys on the Map to Soul, which is Epic High's label, but definitely Soul Company. If you haven't heard Soul Company, Kibi, Minos, The Quiet, what is that? Lopez, Jerry K. Look these guys up, Juana or Fana in English. Look these guys up. They're talking about important things. They're expanding the sound of hip hop. They're producers, they're rappers, they're artists. Check them out. They're amazing.
I guess that kind of leads. That's actually a good lead into what I was trying to get to anyway. I think a big culture shock that a lot of people will find, and that we're kind of hoping to guide them through, I guess you could say, is that this culture is multifaceted, and it's not just the classic guy walking around in a kimono with a katana strapped to his waist. There's more to this, and it reflects Western culture in some ways, and at the same time, it's still very, very much its own thing and its own culture that we hope for people to understand.
All right, so thank you, and could I have one of these things? How much do I say?
It's $8.
$8 for. So this, the green tea generation. So this is describing about the cultural differences.
Well,
it's got a few articles.
It's got a few articles. What happens is, so let's go with the first article. The first article is about living in Korea, and it's walking the streets of Seoul. What you'll see, how people are interacting with pop culture. Like, you go to a coffee shop, and our coffee shops, it's a subculture of independent coffee shops, right?
Yeah.
It's, you listen, there's indie music, and there's people from the local music scenes. Well, in their coffee shops, it's Girls' Gen, it's Big Bang, it's, pop culture hitting you in the face in the independent, in a lot of the independent scene on the streets of Seoul. It's a very different feel than what you're going to get in the Japan article from our Japan lead. And he's talking about not the city and where you go to shop. I mean, that's a part of it. But his Ray's main focus is he lives and works in the Inaka, which is the countryside of Japan. And he's talking about the things you'll see in the Inaka that you won't see in the city. And kind of things he's learned about the differences between country and city life that he never experienced here because he only lived in the city, that he's learned while living in Japan. So it's very reflective. It's a different side of Japan than most people see.
All right, so I hope you'll sell a lot of these copies. I have other people to talk to.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll come back maybe later.
Hey, thank you very much for interviewing us. We appreciate it.
All right, I'm going to post it on the internet, so.
All right.
I'll see you then.
Joshua.